Okay, hi everyone. I realize I haven't shared my poetry here in a while, mostly because I haven't written anything new, to be honest. Um but I was recently editing some of my old poetry for context. Okay, so for context, um and I learned from my mistake. Now I'm going to have these files saved in multiple locations in case something fails. I don't lose all my work. Thankfully, the poems that I lost, but it is kind of sad. It is kind of sad because it is also about my evolution. So it is kind of sad that they're gone, but also they are not poems that I would ever publish. They were just like part of my poetry journey. So yeah, so like I said, the ones that I was the most proud of, they were somewhere else, published somewhere else, or saved in my notes. So it is a big deal, but also let's put things into perspective. But yeah, so I compiled all those poems into a Word document. Also, what do you think of my phone cover? It's cutie, right? I found this craft on Instagram and it's just cute little buttons on a clear phone case. Um, and I thought I would share some of them with you because I don't think I've ever shared my poetry on this channel. No, actually, I have. I have shared my poetry on this channel, but like only very briefly. It was not the main content of the video. So I thought I would share some of these poems for context. Some of these were written like a while ago. Some of them have gone through multiple rounds of edits. Some of them need multiple rounds of edits. um, but I'm just going to highlight a few ones because why not? And I'm going to read it from my phone. Um, but yeah, so the oldest one that I have, okay, yeah, so let's pick some like special ones. So the oldest one that I have record of right now is called Happier. The original title I think was Memory or something like that. And I'm going to read it to you. I wish I had more than fragments of distant affection, cold attachment, tarnished reflection, painted on the pavement. I wish my voice was unmuffled and my songs didn't sound so sad, like a timid chirp on a glacial morning. I wish I could feel glad. For all the memories still preserved, even if only dull and grey, small details from yesterday, I wish he got what he deserved. Why return to the wreckage of what could never be, to the wasted jokes, jaded smiles, a poor metaphor from the outdated files of my cynic memory? Wrapped up in a cloud of smoke, to the tension it provoked, why do you still return when all you do is crumble and burn? I ask you, and you smirk with a semblance so hollow, so graciously you break me, and immediately I swallow all the words that could make you tremble and crush you and tear you apart. I drink the venom of your indifference, kill the emotion, train my persistence, until I forget your face and how your apologies sound. Absence becomes peace, silence becomes closure. I realize I'm happier now. So the last, um, fuck, what was the name of this? You have verses and then you have, I forgot. Anyways, the last groups of verses, whatever they're called, that I forgot now. What the fuck? Um, my poetry like lecture looking at this. Like, okay. Don't even remember how to say it in Portuguese. That's how bad it is. They used to be different. They used to sound nicer, but they used to be very dramatic, and they were not really like conveying the message and how I was feeling about this relationship. at present, so I just changed it. Also, one thing that I noticed is my old poems. Before, my creative dissertation was they were very focused on my emotions and relationships, and then I was reading a bunch of feminist literature when I was preparing for my creative dissertation, and you can see like a visible shift where it becomes more, the tone and themes is just more explicitly political and more provocative. And I think since then they have very much become about womanhood, or other social issues that I deem important, which I quite like because it is also a reflection on how my identity have changed as well. But yeah, let me see. Ooh, what else? Oh, this one is in my creative dissertation, and it's one of my favorite ones that I've ever written. It is still one of my favorites, like 3 years after, 4 years after, I think, that it is now. It's called Curse. And my supervisor, he really liked this one as well. I was born unclean, cursed to be wicked for the rest of my days, tempting mistress possessing, and yet I kneel before you. I was other before anything else, but you already knew that. The imperfect sex ripped for a body, the backbone of your glory. Unwillingly, how could I possibly want too much? And yet I do. My anger is wrought red and blue. Forgive my social illiteracy. I forgot I was supposed to be pleasant. Because this violence is new, not quick smack, hidden bruise and a fist behind closed doors, is bittersweet games with names no one dares to spell. But these days I'll take whatever I can get. Like a stray dog eating moldy breadcrumbs from the floor, I swallow your bullshit, you screw me over and over. What I do have to say about this one though is, although I really like how it's written, I would change the message, especially when I say, because this violence is new, not quick smack, hidden, bruise, and a fist, which implies that this is not happening anymore when, domestic violence, like physical violence, is pretty much like a very pressing issue in a lot of countries. And I think what I wanted to say is like it has evolved not into something else, but it's added to it, to that violence that exists. Now there's other subtle, pervasive ways that misogyny manifests itself. So I might try and tweak that to reflect what I actually want to convey. And also the ending, it is quite sad, and it's like, I will not take whatever I can get. Like sometimes I want to give up, but I don't. Like that doesn't reflect how I feel about this issue. I don't think that's how I felt about that issue at the time. I was just feeling like really sad when I wrote this. And yeah, and maybe quite hopeless, and that's how it came across. But now I would change it to something that is more, maybe still sad, but like some kind of like raging will to persist and fight back. I don't know, but maybe not all poems need to be like that. Maybe I'm allowed to like have those moments of hopelessness too, and write about those moments of hopelessness too. So I will rethink that. Okay, so the next one is called Dates, and I also really like this one. And I don't think I would change this one. Actually, it is Women's Day, International Women's Day tomorrow, and I feel like this is quite relevant because there's so much like performative bullshit that happens on these days, celebrating women and buying chocolates and flowers and blah blah blah, and that is nice, but we want more, and we should demand more. We want structural change, bitches. But yeah, it's called Dates. Yes, I don't want flowers, occasional chivalry wrapped in pink chiffon and purple hearts. I don't want sweet cocoa melting, milky foam in my mouth, bitter kisses and attention with a receipt at the end. When I was 14, I swore I would never fold a man's clothes, but I've learned to make exceptions. So come chase me. I'll pretend I wanted it all along. The flowers will rot and melt in your hands as you touch me for the first time. You'll forget why you liked me in the first place. I was way too easy. Everyone knows good girls don't dance like that. Maybe I will change it actually because I don't like how it ends. So come chase it. I'll pretend I wanted it all along. I'm like, what are you trying to convey here, really? Like, are we really incentivizing that? I don't know. I just really worry about like what kind of message I'm conveying in my poetry now. By like the flowers will rot and melt in your hands as you touch me for the first time. You'll forget why you liked me in the first place. I was way too easy. Like, I like when sometimes I do regurgitate like misogynistic messaging, but like to expose how warped it is, and how it like personally affects me and has a real life impact in me and how I navigate relationships in life. But the whole part, some come chase me, I'll pretend I wanted it all along. I don't like it as much. Um, because I don't think it just relates to anything that I've actually experienced. Yeah. Okay, so there's this one that I really like, but I'm still working on it, and I was actually editing it today, but the library was closing, so I could not spend too much more time on it. So it is, keep in mind that this was still in edit, and it is still in edit. So, but it's called Banana Split. But I might change the title because the title makes no sense. Um, I carry my pain like I carry my shoulders, hard and heavy, sliding jaw and a wreck of a posture. You can feel the tension, but you don't know why it's there. I carry my pain like guts wrenched, wrapped deep down and ready to jump if you poke it in the right places, somewhere between the state of the world and existential dread. And sometimes, only sometimes, I wish there was a button to end it all, or to end me. I carry my pen like I carry my tongue, quick and sharp, words explosive, spreading to places I never thought could hurt. You can almost hear it, but indoors is never silent. They tell me I must transcend the pain of my sex. Superwoman complex nonsense. You made pain the default, but somehow now it's my fault. The canonical injustice. I know this pain doesn't belong to me. It's man made, artificial, and yet it has been here for as long as I can remember. I carry my pain like I always have, trying to loosen up while trampled into submission. They tell me I must transcend the pain of my sex. I never will. Um, the thing that I don't like about this poem is that it is not very clear from the start that the pain is related to my womanhood, and it feels like it's just like shoved into the poem at the end. So I want to make that clear from the start or just drop it completely. Um, and also, I think you might paint the default, but somehow now is my fault. It is a nice line, but it just feels too in your face. I know this pain doesn't belong to me, is man-made, artificial. I just feel like those lines are strong, but they are just too in your face for my style of poetry, so I would like to change that. But yeah. What else do I have? Oh, The Impossibility of Woman. It's such a great title, and the poem is it is not that strong yet, but we're working on it, okay? So, I gnaw at the cage until my gums bleed, but the cage remains, not a scratch in sight. So I ask myself, what's the fucking point? And then I wonder if life would be more peaceful if I just submitted. If I bow and twist and bend, emptying myself of self to fulfill all the conflicting prophecies, turn into a two-dimensional paper doll you can dress and dress, crunch and tear at your leisure. Maybe I can even get upgraded to a nicer cage. But just the way I've been moving through life in a constant state of cognitive dissonance, telling myself I can take it, it's not that bad. With a stubborn itch always on the back of my mind, I would go through an entire existence of telling myself I'm free enough, never knowing who I am when I'm not existing in relation to you. I just feel this needs an ending, and it doesn't have one at the moment. So yeah, let me see what else. Oh, there's this one called Beauty where I hate the start, but for me, I feel like it gets really good towards the end, and I really like the ending. I'm really proud of how I close that poem. So I'm going to read it from the start. It's just when I perform it, I just don't have the sassiness to perform it how maybe it should be performed or how I think it should be performed. Um, it's just not my style. But yeah, knock knock is the body. You see this? I just don't have the. It should be something like knock knock, like it's the body police, but sassy. But I just don't perform like that, and I don't want to force my. It's just yeah, you get it. Knock knock is the body police. The 90s called, and turns out your curves are not trendy anymore. And there's something wrong with your face. Your lips are not full enough, and honestly, the way your skin sags is not cinematic enough, anticlimactic. One thing is getting old, another thing is completely letting yourself go. And my friend, trust me, you don't want to let yourself go. Sometimes I don't know if I need a boob job or an exorcism. From flesh eating diets and empty food replacements, they couldn't contain our anger, so they force fed us hunger. And now watch as we deplete our vital energy, starving ourselves into submission. My bad, I didn't realize when you call me baby, you wanted me to be like an actual baby. Smooth skin, helpless porn doll, ribbons in my head, and not a single hair in sight. Body positivity feels like a losing game when beauty is, by definition, everything but inclusive, kicking you out and making you feel guilty for standing outside. Shame if I care, shame if I don't. If I stare at the mirror for too long, I stop recognizing myself. The chant of surgical knives and gouaches starts to take over. I worry if I look my age. Do I look out of place? Wait, is this my actual face? Anyways. I think of self-love and freedom. If it actually matters whether I believe that I'm pretty, how there's a wider struggle and a much bigger picture. Maybe true power is not changing the lens, but stepping out of the frame altogether. And I like that. Maybe I need to change. I think of self-love and freedom. If it actually matters whether I believe that I'm pretty, that is good. How there's a wider struggle in a much bigger picture. I like how it sounds, but I think wider struggles need to change into something else. I like when my poems are explicitly political without using political language. I don't know if this makes sense. I feel like I can say struggle without saying struggle, and it's not like I'm avoiding that language. I want to make that language. I want to make the struggle visible instead of just saying struggle. But yeah. What else do I have? Let me see. My best poetry. I love this one. It is a sweeter poem. I don't know. I like it. I don't think I need to change this one much actually. Maybe I could expand it, but I think for now I think it's a very nice self-contained poem. I think it's good. I think I wrote my best poetry sad. I let the self-pity swallow me whole, like sharp teeth sinking into my skin and reopening old wounds. I think I wrote my best poetry lonely, in a last-ditch effort to be seen and desperate for connection. I think I wrote my best poetry grateful, full, genuine warmth. When life almost made sense, I feel the energy of the entire universe flow through me. I let it flow. I think I wrote my best poetry angry. Rage, clarity, charged rhythms. I hear the rage of our poetry foremothers. They're still screaming. I think I wrote my best poetry tired. Exhaustion, blotting my thoughts. I forget to be reasonable. Maybe I don't always have to be reasonable. I think my best poetry lives in thoughts I never wrote down, conversations I can faintly remember, drafts now deleted because they made me feel too vulnerable. I think my best poetry is yet to come. It's a mix of real life and my deepest fantasies, sketched with blood and ink and sheer hope for something that's different but still me. I can't wait to meet her. Yeah, I kind of like... I just realized I had a typo, so I had to fix it. And I was like trying to read it and not forget to typo them. Anyways, what else do I have? I'm reaching the end of this, I think. Oh yeah, I'm reaching the end. So, and then I have one that is just a concept. So this is the last one. It's one of my most recent ones. I wrote it um, with like a poetry video in mind. So I already wrote, like I wrote it already knowing that I wanted to adapt it into a video. Um, and it is this really sweet video. I use like footage from my grandfather's birthday, and I was really missing home. I was really missing my family. Um, I was feeling like I was missing out because I had a few relatives that died while I was away. And then my grandpa got really sick. And yeah, I was just very reflective. I was starting to realize that now I only see my family like twice a year for maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. And then I started thinking realistically, I don't have a lot of time left with them. If I keep, living in this register, because obviously I'm living abroad and everyone is back home. So yeah, it was just making me feel really sad. And I wrote this um, called Home. Don't know if I mentioned that. Anyways. I guess I wanted to write a poem about missing home, about feeling like I'm missing out on family milestones, things moving too fast but also painfully slow, missing my country and culture that I never appreciated until this point. About feeling powerless and having no idea about what I actually want to do with my life. What I want my legacy to be, about questioning everything, being so angry at the world, and always, always hopeful. About how I cry so much lately and how I've never been so close. I dress my flaws in bright clothes, trying to make myself more palatable to my own scrutiny. About how I've been out of touch with my words. My mind maze has brought me to the realization I am done with self-discovery, as I realized I am in fact not insane, just stuck in this sick circus I never signed up for, and yet I'm unable to leave. So what do you do when you're too tired to fight the puppet masters? When the more you learn, the less you know. When is it time to go? Is it time to go home? Ethics, history, aesthetics, bombs and other weapons, spoken or else, scream or sink. Can I go back to being nothing? I just need a fucking second to think and breathe. This one I find it really easy to perform. Maybe because I wrote it, keeping in mind that I would have to read it out loud. You'd have a certain pace. But yeah, this one just like feels very natural to read it out loud. It's one of my favorite ones. It starts with missing home, but then it gets quite existential. Because I feel like also when you go through hardship and the world feels so unstable, and you just kind of want to retreat back into something that feels comfortable and familiar. So, and for me, that is my parents' home and just being around my family. So yeah, so that is my poetry. Well, what's left of it, basically. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. This is something that is so special to me, and yeah, it's still a work in progress, but it's actually like a huge dream of mine to be able to publish my poetry one day. I'm not even remotely close to something that I really want to publish and put out there. I take my poetry very seriously. I'm constantly editing, tweaking, changing things over time. So yeah, it isn't likely that it's going to happen anytime soon, but I feel like it's getting somewhere, and I feel like this is a good start. Maybe it doesn't need to be a book. Maybe it can be a little like pamphlet, since I haven't been writing a lot. But yeah, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this inspired you to go and write your own poetry. Comment only nice things. And yeah, I know this is a bit different than my usual content, but I think I want to start doing more stuff like this. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.